Oh, I've actually been very perplexed as to what I would constitute as the definition for a tongue bath, but I just saw one within the last 2 days. Kristi Noem gave this speech, and there's a portion of it that is so bad I just had to play it.
So we've got a very weak president in the White House right now. He's a bumbling, weak old man. I'm not sure if he can complete even daily activities and remember what he did that day. And when he is in the White House, we have extreme challenges. Russia invades its neighbors. China takes advantage of us all around the world. We have incredible dangers. Israel gets attacked. When you put President Trump back in the White House, peace deals get signed in the Middle East. The economy thrives. We take advantage of China. And America is respected again. That's what happens when President Trump comes back. Peace through strength. Peace through strength is what he brings. I'll give you an example. I was in Wisconsin recently doing some events for President Trump, talking to women and independents and different groups and people, asking them to get engaged and to think about this next election cycle. And I was talking with Kevin. Kevin was the youngest person to be held hostage by Iran back in the 80s when Jimmy Carter was president. Kevin and the rest of those Americans were held hostage by Iran for 444 days while Jimmy Carter negotiated. They were released on the day Ronald Reagan was sworn into office. Iran let them back. That's what peace through strength is. That's what peace through strength is. Jimmy Carter was a weak president, and Iran recognized immediately that Ronald Reagan wasn't going to put up with it anymore. Joe Biden is a weak president, and all of our enemies, foreign and domestic, are going to recognize that when Trump gets back in the White House, that he's not going to put up with it anymore either, that he is going to take action. He will give us economic strength, a secure border. He will make sure that we end political prosecutions, which we see across this country, and he will bring law and order back to our streets. That's what President Trump will deliver for us.
So she called Biden a bumbling, weak old man. And again, this plays into the narrative that has been floated by a lot of people that Biden is detached, that he's just unable to remember where he is or whatever. But I guess what I'm always so fascinated by is how Republicans like this, Trump's sidekicks, can talk about Biden as if he's this demented, decrepit dinosaur. And that was some pretty good alliteration on my part. But then Trump is this spring chicken. They talk about Trump like he's 40 or 50 or, hell, even 60. But he's not. He's just a few years younger than Biden and has shown signs of his own cognitive decline. Now, the worst part about being an American president is that when things happen under your reign, you tend to have individuals who blame you for stuff that's out of your control. Israel was attacked by Hamas for its decades-long mistreatment of Palestinians, a conflict that has been going for over 70 years and counting. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is another matter that, again, did not involve the U.S. It had to do with Putin wanting to restore the Soviet Union. So I find it very fascinating, right, that these politicians, when they're trying to talk about Biden's foreign policy, they're not saying, hey, he's sending our troops over to this conflict that Congress didn't approve. Nothing like that. They're using these foreign conflicts that at most we might give some money towards, and like I said, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm really sick of the seeming never-ending oasis of coins for these overseas conflicts. But nonetheless, we don't have troops over there, which makes it harder for them to be able to critique him directly. So they have to say, oh, see, these things are happening, this chaos around the world. It's like, I guess, but what exactly did Biden do to institute this chaos? What did he tell Putin, you better not invade Ukraine? Did he send troops? Or it's weird. But my favorite part is when she, well, actually, I'll get to my favorite part in a second. She said that that Trump would, if he were reelected, would sign peace deals in the Middle East. Now, I'm gonna say this. I don't care if Trump wins another term. I don't care if Biden wins another term. I don't care if by some unfortunate circumstance, and I say that in regards to Biden's health, Harris takes over as president. None of these people are going to be able to get a peace deal relating to Israel and Palestine, or Israel and Iran, or really Israel and any other country that it has problems with. These conflicts have been going for decades, and every 4 to 8 years, when somebody's running for president, if I get in there, I will change this, and it doesn't happen because these are things that require much more nuance and much more global cooperation than the U.S. is able to muster, unfortunately. Now, my favorite part, and this is so lovely, is where she tries to compare Biden to Carter, and she mentions the Iran hostage crisis, I'm about to say the Iran nuclear deal, and cites this as an example of Biden being like Carter and being a weak president, as she calls him. Well, the Iran hostage crisis, I think using that to insult Carter is already kind of insane because Carter succeeded in his mission of getting all the hostages back unharmed. But secondly, it's like apples and oranges, where with the Iran hostage crisis, you're talking about the U.S. embassy in a foreign country being invaded by people who did not support the U.S.'s position, which support the Shah, and a president trying to bring everyone back safely, which took over a year. And also a conspiracy. This was something else that just last year, Ben Barnes, the John Connolly protege, came out and said, yeah, we tried to sabotage, and we did attempt to help in sabotaging Carter's attempt to get another term so we could prop up Reagan. So Carter was dealing with being assailed by the Iranian hostage takers and members of his own country, like fellow Americans trying to screw him up. When it comes to Biden, again, the conflicts that she mentions, besides the one with China, which is still kind of nebulous, like she doesn't really say what exactly is like the global evil thing China is doing to us, but these are not conflicts involving the U.S., of the U.S.'s making under him. It's just not a good comparison. And also, I just want to say this. I'm wondering how much longer it's going to be before Republicans stop going back to Carter. Like, think about this. We know that most Republicans disapprove of Obama. We know that most Republicans, I think it's fair to say, disapprove of Clinton, both of them. And of course, they're not big on Biden at this point either. But it's like, you really have to keep going back 40 years into the past. Actually, longer than that. I take it back 43 years, 44 years. Yeah, 43 years. To get an example of a supposedly weak Democratic president. Like, maybe they don't understand how dated of a reference they're making is. When Carter left office, right? So she's relating the release of the Iranian hostages on January 20th, 1981. My parents were in preschool. Well, actually, take it back. My mother was about 5, yeah, and then my dad was about 2 or 3. So this is a really dated reference that these Republicans keep going and using, and I'm just wondering, when is it going to be over? Like, when are they going to have some new Democrat that they can use as their punching bag to compare all future Democrats to? You know, it's just so weird, because it's like, you guys don't like Carter's Democratic successors as president, but they never bring them up as failed or weak or whatever. It's interesting. And like I said, I wouldn't care too much about it because I already have made up in my mind that these people just are full of crap, but I just find it so fascinating that the party that has always failed to attract the youth vote would wonder why that's the case when the last supposed weak Democratic president they can bring up served in office over 40 years ago, when most of the people they're trying to get to vote for him weren't even alive. or we're too young to remember. Just a very bizarre pitch on her part, and I'm surprised to even still see her around. I thought she was going to quietly serve out the rest of her term as governor, and then maybe run for president, and then, you know, be done with politics forever, right? Go and be a Fox News contributor. But she's still angling for that VP spot or a cabinet position, and I don't think she's going to be vice president, and I don't think she's going to be Secretary of Agriculture. I think of all of Trump's sidekicks, right? Her and Green and Lake and I guess to a lesser extent Huckabee Sanders and whatever. It's like she's the one that I think if he wins, which I don't believe he will, but just hypothetical, would be the least likely to get any benefit from it, because that dog killing story and just her whole like ridiculous stance on Roe v. Wade, I don't think she would make it.